Hi, my name is Beth, and you're listening to the CannaFitness and Nutrition Podcast, where we are hanging out at the intersection of fitness, nutrition, and cannabis. Thank you so much for pressing play today. I am excited that you're here to learn about how cannabis, fitness, and nutrition all play together. And today I have a question from a listener, so thank you so much. I'm all about answering your questions. This is a world where we bring fitness and cannabis and our nutrition all together. So I imagine there are a lot of questions and I love to hear them. So I'm doing my best to think of what your questions might be, but if you have an actual one, just reach out. I would love that. And so my email address is beth@cannafitnessnutrition.com. And I hang out on Instagram. It's Beth_CannaFitnessNutrition. So feel free to send me a message, send me a question. I love that. So today's question is about tolerance breaks. Specifically, the question is, do you ever feel indications that you need to give your body a cannabis break? Or do you just take a break from cannabis randomly? And if so, how often? I know you're supposed to take breaks to keep your tolerance at a moderate level. And this is an excellent question. And yes, cannabis breaks are a thing. They are called tolerance breaks, or you'll see or hear the words tea break a lot. That means tolerance break. And several things. Tolerance breaks most specifically apply to THC. So first of all, to answer the question, it depends on what you're using. So historically, and what we know from the limited research that we have, is that our body builds up a tolerance to THC, okay? And it's typically pretty noticeable because over time, you'll start to notice that it takes more THC to achieve the same effects. So it really is dependent upon what you're using it for. And then you have to, again, always our theme is listening to our body, right? So you have to listen to your body and see, okay, so maybe you're using THC for sleep, for example. Okay, well, maybe you're not feeling as tired suddenly after a few months. You're like, I'm not really feeling as tired. And then maybe you're taking a gummy and you take an extra gummy and you notice, oh, that makes me feel good again. That actually works. Now I just had to take two. Or maybe it's hits off of a joint or off of your vape, right? Maybe you felt really sleepy after a couple, and then after a couple, then suddenly you realize that that's really enough. So you need a few more hits to be able to achieve the same effect. Right? So it depends on what you're using it for as to where you're going to notice it. But generally, it's noticeable because you're not feeling the same effects that you used to under the same dose. And you feel like you need to take more, or you do take more, and notice that it takes more to achieve the same effects. So listening to your body is always key, right? In everything we do, CannaFit. And so that's usually the first sign if it takes more to achieve the effect. And that can be, and that's not really a huge problem because you can just take more, but over time, that can add up depending on, if you're purchasing cannabis, if you're buying packages of gummies, you're going to go through them faster. If you're purchasing flour, you're going to have to buy it more often or buy bigger amounts. If you're growing, that usually means you have plenty, but you might have to grow more, right? So there's going to be a consequence at some point down the line. And so, yeah, your body does build a tolerance up to THC. And it's recommended that once you start to feel that way and you're ready for a break, that you take a minimum of 48 hours off to reset your body, quote unquote, reset your body. Now, an official tolerance break is about 21 days, and that will really reset your body from THC. But here's the thing, not all of us can take a 21-day break from THC because we may be relying on those medicinal benefits. Now, here's where we're going to get into the weeds just a tiny bit because we're going to layer in CBD. Now, CBD, again, remember that research on all of this is limited, and that's one reason why we're hoping for legalization, so we can have more information. But your body doesn't build up a tolerance in the same way to CBD. So CBD can be a savior during your tolerance break from THC. Okay, let me say that again. So CBD can be your savior during your tolerance break from THC. No, it will not get you high. So you're not going to be able to use it for that. But if you're looking for pain relief, if you're looking for anxiety reduction, stress relief, if you're looking for, that motivation to get up and go, then I highly recommend substituting CBD and CBG, especially for get up and go, instead of your THC. If you're looking for sleep, I recommend looking into CBN, right? And that'll help keep you sleepy when you take it, but not be THC. So it'll feel different, but it'll be a little bit of help. Now, can your body build a tolerance to CBD? Well, again, the answer with the research that we have now is that it's not as much, because it interacts differently with your body, right? It doesn't hit the CB2 receptors. It hits your body slightly different, doesn't make it intoxicated. And so it doesn't build up a tolerance as quickly and as noticeably, let's say. It's really noticeable when you have a tolerance to THC, because you're used to feeling the high. And when you don't feel the high, you're like, wait a second, something's wrong. I need more, right? But with CBD, there's no intoxication. CBD is really the absence of symptoms. So when we have, like, for example, I have a lot of anxiety, and I do feel the anxiety in my chest. And when I take CBD, it leaves my chest. It removes that anxiety. So you can build up a tolerance to CBD, however, right? It is different feeling. But let's go back to listening to our bodies. If you're used to taking, a gummy or a hit or a tincture, and you take the same amount all the time for your CBD, and you get a lot of relief. Again, if it's anxiety relief, if it's your get up and go, if it's your sleep, whatever that is, if you notice it doesn't seem to be working as effectively, that means you have built up a little bit of a tolerance to CBD, right? It's just not as profound as a tolerance to THC. So you can take a break, absolutely, from CBD if you feel like you're building up a tolerance, and let your body reset. I always think of CBD as a gas tank, right? So our gas, except it's a CBD tank. It's an endocannabinoid tank. We're filling up the cannabinoids that naturally occur in our body by giving it some from outside the body, because we naturally have cannabinoids in our body, but maybe it only brings us to half tank, and maybe that's why we feel anxious, or that's why we don't sleep well, or whatever the reason is that you take it, that you found. And so by supplementing the CBD from a plant, we can fill up our tank on the inside and feel better. So if you feel like it's taking more and more and more CBD to get that feeling, then it might be time for a break in order to cut back. And again, I would go with the same advice and use the 48 hours, give it 48 hours to clear your system. If you want to give it a full 3 weeks, then use the 21-day rule and get it out of your system. But without CBD or THC, that might be scary, because that might be something you're worried that you can't be without, because it is managing your symptoms. So in that case, I would say, just cut back on it a little bit, maybe reduce your dose for a little while and get your body used to that, and then go up. Or again, you can stick with just taking CBD and taking a tolerance break from THC in order to achieve the same effect. So as you can see here by if, it's very personalized. So I'm going to come back to listening to your body. If you feel like what you're using isn't enough, then take more. If you're uncomfortable taking more and more and more because you feel like you're not getting the same amount or the same effects, then it might be time to look for a stronger product. It might be time to take a break, right? It just might be time to see what your options are. And that's where, having a cannabis coach can really help, because I am working with you step by step to help manage this. And when I follow you, when you start using cannabis or start applying cannabis to your health, nutrition, and fitness, then I follow you for at least 3 months so that we can work through some of these questions. But again, this is a great place to ask questions, right? This resource. I love this long form podcast because I can talk. And I can explain. If you're listening to me, then you know this. I can talk and I can explain in much longer than the 90 seconds that Instagram gives you. So this is the place to ask in-depth questions. And I hope that helps a little bit to clear that up. But as always, the answers are within us, right? The answer is in our body. So look for the signs that you're having to use more and more. Listen, right, to your body for signs that it might need a change up somehow, right? And then play with that and see, if you can take 2 days off, then take 2 days off from your CBD or your THC and see if that doesn't make you feel better. When you come back to it, you'll notice an effect. But again, if you are someone who needs it medicinally and cannot take a break from it, then you're going to increase your tolerance slowly, and you're just going to have to use a little bit more over time. This does happen slowly over time. And that's why we have more potent forms of cannabis, like concentrates, for example. Okay, so let's see. Did I answer all of that? Yes, you are supposed to take breaks. In fact, I guess I forgot to tell my husband that because, a couple months ago, he was saying that I think I had him try something. I was practicing or trying something new, and I asked him to try something, and he said, "How do you even feel that? That's not very much. I don't even notice it." And I said, "Really? Are you sure you don't even notice any effects from this much?" And he was like, "No." He's like, I don't feel much at all. And I said, "When was the last time you took a break?" And he was like, "Oh, you're supposed to take a break?" And I was like, "Oh no, I missed my main customer here. My main customer, the person I live with, I forgot to tell them about tolerance breaks." So this is an excellent question. An excellent CannaFit question, because yes, breaks are healthy, breaks are normal, breaks are part of the process. So excellent question. Thank you so much. And if you have other questions, I would love to hear them. I would love to hear more about what's helping you stay CannaFit and the question you have so that you can be CannaFit. Okay, guys, that is all for today. I will see you next time.